Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, we could really use your help. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, recently named the Too Opinionated podcast one of its top 100 podcasts. This is a monumental feat for this program. We're a father and son team out of a small town in West Virginia, have been doing this for about 5 years. There's 15 million podcasts out there. About 40,000 of those get to the point that they're listed on IMDb. Out of those 40,000 out of the 15 million, we were ranked number 82. Something that we're just immensely proud of. We're so thankful for our listeners, our watchers, our fans. Thank you so, so much. If you would like to help us out, and we're asking for it, please. It's easy. It's really easy. It's free. If you go to IMDb, that's imdb.com, look up Too Opinionated Podcast, and just take a look at the page. That's all you have to do. I mean, you're welcome to look at the cast, look at the episodes so you can kind of see who's been on the program. Do whatever you want. But even just bringing up the page, imdb.com, Too Opinionated Podcast, bring up the page, look at it. That helps us so much. So please, if you can do anything, we would really appreciate that. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Love to have your subscription there. It's also free. And you can also check out our website, meistercon.com, where you'll find almost 700 episodes, audio and video, available on there. There's also a terrific blog from Brett, and it'll let you know anything that we have going on in studio, if we're covering a convention, if we're going on location, anything that we have going on will be on the website, meistercon.com. Thank you guys so, so much. We appreciate you so much. I can't express enough how appreciative we are of all of you. We never expected to do as well as we have, and that's all because of you. Thank you so much. Enjoy that interview. Bye, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I've got good friend, casting director, producer, Lisa Hamil with me. So welcome, Lisa.
Hello. Happy to be here.
I know we were just talking, off camera that we should have done this a long time ago, but we're finally here.
Today is the day.
Today's the day. We ran into each other in LA there, about a month ago, and we finally set it up. No more procrastinating.
We're doing it. It's going to be amazing. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be amazing. I always enjoy those trips to LA because we always seem to end up in those eclectic acting entertainment groups, and it just cracks me up. There's the personalities, the meshing of them is just fun, I think. So I always enjoy those nights out. We don't get enough of those.
Well, it's like everyone you've ever met in a small town decides to come out to LA to make their name for themselves. So it's basically every unique person in your small town in one place.
I know. I think that's why I like LA so much, because it's I mean, New York's like that too, but it's such a melting pot. There's so many people coming from everywhere in there. And LA's, it's like 4 cities in one.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, it's bigger than West Virginia as a state.
It's really
just population-wise. They've got, it's not even close. They've got a lot more people than we've got in the whole state.
Well, you're more spread out, like you said.
We are more spread out. I don't mind it because we don't fight the traffic like you do.
Or your neighbors.
Or the neighbors. So there's some advantages to being in a smaller state. Some disadvantages, but there's some advantages.
Well, we're always happy to see you out here.
I know, if every single person in my family didn't live right here, and Emily's too, we'd live out there, no doubt. But they do. So we got grandkids here, so we're here. We'll try. We'll try.
Grandkids keep you grounded there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we had an opportunity to move to Portland with my work several years ago, and we had decided to go. And then middle of the night, we both wake up middle of the night and we're like, we can't go. We can't go. We got all the families here. And this was before all the grandkids. So thank goodness we didn't leave. That would have been terrible.
Yeah, that's a far trip to make.
Yeah.
Often enough to keep your relationships up with the
That's right.
grandkids.
That's
They
right.
grow
Yeah.
so fast.
They grow so fast. I didn't want to miss out on that stuff. So it worked out good. Well, okay. So let's start this way. Tell me a little bit about how you got into the entertainment business. Why did you want to go into that? It's such a difficult business.
It is, but it's so fun. And not always. Sometimes it's horrible, but mostly it's fun, which keeps you in it.
Yeah.
I grew up in New York City, and like every other kid in the world, or at least America, I watched TV and I thought, oh, I should be an actress. You can do that. I should be an actress. And my parents were like, that doesn't sound like a great idea.
Well, parents, we just want to make sure you're going into something that you can support yourself with.
That's true. And I probably could not have supported myself as an actress. And by the time I turned, actually in New York, they have a special high school for its fame.
Oh, yeah, of course.
There. And when you're in the New York City public school system, you can take all these tests to go to schools that aren't in your neighborhood. So basically there's fame, there's some schools that focus on English, and then there's some science and math schools. And I wanted to go to fame so much. It's LaGuardia, not fame. I wanted to go to LaGuardia so much, but I ended up getting into one of the science schools. And I tell my parents, or my mom, she's still alive to this day, if I had just gone to the art school, I would be a scientist right now, because I would have gotten it out of my system. But I went to the science school, so came out here to be an artist.
Yeah, I kind of love that. I mean, did you do theater and stuff through high school?
Yeah, theater in high school and in independent productions. I did some equity shows as a stage manager when I was in high school. I spent a summer upstate at a place called the Catskill Actors Theater, which I don't think is still there. But then I went to college and I applied to every college with a different major because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I ended up going to BU, and immediately after one semester transferred to their film school and studied film. So that's how I ended up out here.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I think that happens a lot. Once you get into the entertainment business, you may want to be a certain thing. A lot of times it doesn't work out that way, but you find a different career path within entertainment, which I think is pretty cool that you can do that, because not everybody can do everything.
Yeah, I thought I would be a cinematographer, but it was just a lot of precision and technical math and stuff I had just done in high school and didn't want to do anymore. So I directed a couple plays in my college, and I loved that. And I thought film school is the place to go. So I thought I would come out and be a director, and it took a while, and I finally got to do that. But my day job, I completely fell into being a casting director. But it's great because it's half creative, half business. So it's really auditioning the actors and getting a feel for everyone, meeting everyone. Sometimes actors come in and audition for me several times before they get a role. Like it could be several projects down the line, but auditioning is just coming in and basically meeting me. Or it used to be. Now we have to do a lot of stuff online because of COVID rules, etc. But
what's your preference? Would you rather be in person, or is it because it's probably quicker doing it online? What's your preference there?
I prefer in person because then we get to know each other really and build a relationship. It's a little more difficult just doing it online because yes, it should be quicker, but it's like binging too much TV. Like I'm watching the same scene over and over and over and over again with different actors. So you can only do that for so long.
At some point, you're going to have diminishing returns.
I know when everyone is either wonderful or terrible in my mind that I've watched for too long and I can't judge anymore.
Well, do you keep like I've always been curious with casting directors, do you keep a notebook or something when you run into somebody that you like, but maybe they're not perfect for the role? Do you keep a list of that stuff so maybe you can go back to them at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. I keep a list of everyone's auditions, either live or virtual. I make my notes on there, and usually in casting, you're kind of usually working on more than one thing at once. So I know that I have this other project coming up that they might be right for, and then use them there. I've even made offers to people, and then if they couldn't do that, I remember for oh, they couldn't do this one movie, they were busy on a TV show. I'll remember them for next time too. So
I think casting directors are it's a really fascinating profession because of the people aspect. I mean, talk about networking. You can become networked with a very large group of actors very quickly.
absolutely. And it's fantastic. I mean, I gotta say, being in casting probably makes the rest of my life a little strange because everyone is so nice to you in
Yeah.
casting because it's actors coming in to, being vulnerable with you. And then it's agents, please see my clients. And so everyone's wonderful to you until it's time to negotiate some contracts. And then we have some problems. But
Yeah, but
so,
that's down the road.
yes.
You got to
So
get
I
to that
feel
point
like I
first.
live in a very golden light, beautiful world where everyone is wonderful. It's a nice place to live for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's not terrible. So when someone wants you to do the casting for something, a show or a movie, how do you get that started? What do you do?
The first thing that happens is they send me a script
Yeah,
because I want to read the script because basically I'm uh, the best way to describe casting is it's kind of half HR, like any other company. You're bringing in the right candidates
right.
so that the person above you can decide who the perfect candidate is. And the rest of it is just sales. I need to read the script so I can see if I understand the script, I understand the director and his vision or her vision, the producers and what they expect financially, on how much we have to pay the actors, et cetera, et cetera. So it's, like I said, it's kind of a mix of both worlds. It's HR, it's sales, and then a whole creative aspect, which you need to, really be able to read the director's mind.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So when I'm guessing that you normally would narrow it to a small group, and then do you take that to put in front of other people and then they make the final choice, or do you pick the person?
It depends. I work with a lot of first-time directors, so that's usually a really close and intense relationship because we're getting to know each other and how the other person works and what works best for them. And then a lot of times it's their first time at bat per se, and they need a little guidance. What it comes down to is it's usually TV, it's the producer's ultimate decision.
Right.
Film, it's usually a mixture between the director and the producer. And then sometimes there's a couple of directors I've worked with like 5 or 6 times. And at some point on one of the movies, we were like 30 rolls in, and he's just like, just decide.
Yeah. Well, and that's the trust
Yeah,
factor because you've worked together.
exactly.
Yeah, you've been
Exactly.
doing this for a while now. I'm sure you've got pretty good relationships with a ton of people.
Yeah, it's funny. I tell people that usually I do one movie with people or I do every movie, because it's a creative industry. There's a lot of unique personalities, and sometimes people don't necessarily mesh, but I have loved working with almost everyone I've ever worked with. And I get so emotionally invested in
Yeah,
every
of
film
course.
that I work on. So
Yeah,
I'm usually,
I think it sounds to me like I've always thought casting was one of the best jobs in Hollywood. I mean, it'd be awesome to be the star, you know,
yeah.
but that it just I'm a people guy, interacting and being able to encourage and to offer people positions and work. And that sounds awesome.
You'd be great. I just hired someone who's auditioned for me like probably 6 times and she finally booked something, and that gets me excited. I'm like, yes, I knew it from the first project, but finally
You got to find the right work. That's
Exactly.
kind of just from, I've done like 700 of these interviews now, if you can believe it. And just from talking with people, I know I can't believe it. It seems like so many, but I've had such a good time with it. But when you talk with people, they talk about that having to try out over and over and over again. So if you get the opportunity to actually match a project with somebody that has been putting the work in, that's got to feel good.
It does. One of my favorite things is either that getting someone a job finally, or giving someone their first job is also like goosebumps. You get a thrill from that.
Do you have to coach them a little bit? Like once they get the role, do you help kind of get them set up for what to expect, or is that somebody else that does that?
You know what? I coach them in the room when they're auditioning, because I know more what the director is expecting. Right. I mean, when a director and I talk about a specific role, I always try to give them exactly what they asked for, but sometimes they don't quite know what they're asking for. So I try to give them exactly what they asked for, and then some unique takes on what they didn't ask for, but might be very, very interesting. And sometimes that works. Yeah. So I always tell actors, if you're the only person of your type in a room, you're in the right place. Just because nobody else looks or talks or feels like you're still in the right place. Right. We're just trying something different that the director might not even know that they want.
Right. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You're just giving them a different look, a possibility.
Yeah, a different look, a different feel, a different take on the character.
Yeah, I think to me that's really really fascinating. Do you remember, was there a project when you first started into casting that you're like, okay, this is something that I could do?
You know what? I started as a casting associate. So or a casting assistant, rather. That's like the lowest level of casting, unless you're an intern or something.
Right.
And one of the casting directors that I was working with, they had a family emergency and had to leave for a week or so. So I ended up doing some of the pre-reads, which are the first audition. Right. So the newest people in town that don't have a lot of credits, they usually do the pre-read, which is with an associate or an assistant, someone putting themselves on tape. And I was like, I had just come out of college. I had directed all these plays. I thought I knew exactly what I was doing. And so I took notes for them and said who I thought was great. And they went through the notes with me afterwards when the person got back. And they're like, no, this is totally wrong. This is so theatrical. Because I was used to plays and things and not television and film acting. So I remember it was on Freddy versus Jason, the project where I learned that
project.
Yeah. I had no taste back then, but I learned from two of the best.
That's a good way to do it, though. Just getting thrown in when you're not expecting to have that responsibility. I mean, yeah, you're going to make some mistakes, but you're probably going to learn quicker too.
Oh, I did.
It sounds like they were patient with you.
They absolutely were. It was Matthew Berry and Nancy Greenkeys. They were wonderful people to learn from.
Have you got to work with them since?
Yeah, I did a bunch of things with them before I went out on my own. And honestly, the only reason I went out on my own is because they took a break for a little bit. And by the time they came back, I was already casting features on my own and stuff. So, but I did Friday After Next with them. It was
some big stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and I did The Notebook with them, which is everybody's mom's favorite movie.
That little movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I saw one of them that I always enjoyed was Alpha Dogs. You worked on that one.
That one too. Also, Nick Cassavetes is really great director.
Yeah.
Unique.
I like that one. Like if you go back and look now, that movie is loaded. I mean, everybody in it's a big star now, but 20 years ago, not so much.
Huge stars. Even Justin Timberlake's in it, and he wasn't an actor back then.
No, but he was good.
Yeah. Amanda Seyfried I remember her coming in. She was like 16 or 17 years old coming in for a meeting. And everyone was a baby. That was one of my
that
first.
was back when she was doing like Veronica Mars and some of that stuff that, she was new.
Yeah. Everyone in that movie became huge, basically.
Yeah. Do you ever do that? Do you ever go back and look at some of the movies you casted for just to see, where those actors are now and who?
Well, no, because I keep track of them. I try to use, if I see a role that's right for someone I've worked with, I will definitely see if they're available and they want to come in and either audition or maybe we can get them a straight offer. So yeah, no, I keep track of people.
I love that part of it. That's the part that I think I would enjoy. I love tracking stuff. I like statistics. I like just writing, keeping, that's just me with that. So I'd probably enjoy that part of it.
It's fun. And, everybody's always at a different place in their career. Sometimes you're on the way up. Sometimes you're on the way down. Sometimes you're back on the way up and even higher. So it's kind of a grind, but you keep at it and you get to where you want to go.
Do you have, or have you had a person come in that you have been starstruck with? Or is it all just, they're just actors and it doesn't really matter how big of an actor?
The only people I've been starstruck by are people that I used to watch on TV when I was a kid. Yeah. So people that might not necessarily still be A-list now, but whenever you meet someone that you used to watch as a kid, like, 10-year-old you is like, oh my God.
You see, I think that's kind of what most people would say. It's the people that they grew up loving, and maybe those actors, actresses, they're starting to be on the downside, let's say, of their career, but they at one time were big stars.
And they could be again. I mean, this business, you
never
that's
know.
why it's wonderful. You never know.
Like I think I would have said William Shatner. I got to meet him, so that kind of took that one out. It'd probably be Harrison Ford for me. I think I'd get a little Star Trek because I was such a fan of his, because all those movies came out when I was a teenager. So
where we cast The Notebook was where I guess they had an office for Star Wars, and Harrison Ford was in there doing some carpentry. And then he Amazing. Was the story is he was discovered there. So I remember working in that office and being like, oh my gosh, maybe this is where, my career takes off too.
Yeah. Somebody like that, maybe Patrick Stewart. I probably have a little, that would be a tough one for me. But for the most part, now that I've got to talk to so many people, I'm pretty comfortable. It's you kind of figure out pretty quick. They're just people. They're just really good at acting.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think anyone, like I said, has really starstruck me except people from childhood.
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes sense to me because those are the ones you grew up kind of idolizing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So I saw you've done some writing in the past.
Yeah. Casting is my day job. That is where I make my money. I love it, but like I said, I went to film school, so the goal is to write and direct. I did, two people I was kind of starstruck with. I wrote and directed with my partner, Nicholas David Brandt. We co-wrote and directed a movie called Bad Behavior, and we got, it was a tiny, tiny little movie, a little thriller about a family, and Ted McGinley and Linda Hamilton came in and did a couple days for us. So I got starstruck with them for sure.
Both of them, I would have been a little gaga over.
They were both amazing and so kind to, new baby filmmakers. So yeah, Me and my partner are still writing. We have a couple of projects that are almost ready. So hopefully you'll see another film from us in the next year or so.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, if you need a dead body or anything, holler at me.
I definitely will.
I work.
Want to audition for something bigger?
We better start small. You probably don't want me to do much more than a grunt and fall to the ground, something like that.
Well, I just cast something with zombies, and before that, something with Bigfoot. So
yeah, see,
I definitely do love those kind of projects.
I could do that. Pretty confident with that. Once I start talking, it could go awry pretty quick.
You know what? I just want to say challenge accepted. We're going to find something for
All right?
you.
Because every project needs cheap labor.
Are
That's
you
me.
Can we renegotiate your price? I did that with a friend from college. I pre-negotiated his contract for my first movie and he honored it.
Yeah. All I need is like travel expenses. That's it.
Love it. Well, I think SAG would have something to say about that.
Yeah, I'm sure they would. Here's what I would like to do. So I have to give you some background so you understand what I'm talking about. Now, I've probably told you a little bit of this story, but I had a friend. We had one of those paranormal shows came to West Virginia, and they were looking to do an episode in West Virginia. Well, I had a buddy that ran the West Virginia, film office for the state. And we had another buddy that had a house that was supposed to be haunted. It was been in his family for a couple hundred years, supposed to be haunted. And we grew up in that house. We spent most of our free time just hanging out in that house. So he sent them, to him, and they loved it. And that's where they wanted to do the show. Well, they needed somebody that wasn't a member of the family to be to verify that all this stuff was real. None of it was real. None of it was true. I've been in that house, for 40 years. There's nothing going on in that house, but I knew all the stories. So, I got my, 2 minutes on there to say, oh yeah, this, all this haunted stuff's going on and stuff. So under, my tagline under that was just Michael Wall, childhood friend. That was this. So I leaned into that childhood friend thing. It became a meme. Everybody was calling me that. They're still calling me that. It's been 10, 12 years ago. So I just leaned into it. So what I would love to do on anything would be to be hanging out at a bar and just have somebody from the movie or show come up and say, hey, have you met my childhood friend? And I'd be like, hey, how you doing? And that's it. But it'd be
I love that.
Nobody would
your hero's journey.
Yeah, nobody would get it except everybody, that I'm close to. They would all just crack up. So I was like, that's the role. Or, maybe if I could be a body, but just wear a shirt that says childhood friend.
That's even funnier.
I'm not trying to get famous. I just kind of like little nonsense type of stuff.
Well, that's the fun part about creating movies. Yeah. Like you can do stuff like that. My writing partner puts the number 231 in everything that he writes. It's not even just stuff with me. He's had other films produced, and that number is always in there.
What's the significance with the number?
Oh no, I don't remember. Yeah, I just accept that it's in there.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sure it has some type of significance to it.
It does to him. It does to him. We were just talking about our next project and realized we had to put a specific phrase, which is a callback to our first movie. But no one else would get it but us.
That's okay. Easter eggs are fun.
Absolutely. And that's, half the business is talking about all the fun little extra stuff that's in there.
That's pretty great. Where do you get your ideas? Where do you find your projects that you want to write?
Everywhere. Everyone, I'm sure everyone has an idea for a movie. Every time I run into an old friend who's not from LA or doesn't work in the industry, everyone's like, hey, I have an idea for a movie. And I'm like, okay, you should write that. And they're like, no, you should write it for me. I'm like, you don't know what it takes to make a movie. Right. It's years out of your life.
Yeah,
Years.
and most of the time it's a little unfulfilling because most of those projects never really see the light of day. You really have to be committed and love the project
That's
in
true.
most cases.
That's true. I mean, you see all these people accepting awards and they're like, I wrote this 20 years ago,
Yeah.
because sometimes that's how long it takes to get it from page to screen.
Yeah. Oh, I saw you did casting for Concrete Blonde. Or
Yes.
Blonde. Yeah, Concrete Blondes. That was a good movie.
Yeah, I did the leads for that. A lot of the times when things shoot outside of LA, I come in and do the leads. I do a lot of international projects too. Like I had a project that shot in South Africa with a pygmy tribe that I
Really?
cast
Did you
the
get to
lead.
go out there?
I didn't, because it cost $26,000 just to fly to the airport. There was only one flight a week, and it sounded a little,
A little sketchy.
yeah. The producer of it had actually produced Survivor, the
Oh,
television show before, so
yeah.
he knew how to go in somewhere and set up a whole like little film ecosystem so everybody stayed healthy and safe, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah,
Amazing.
I cast a lot of international projects where you just bring over the leads and stuff. And then there's other films like there was a movie called A Snowy Day in Oakland that's actually going to be streaming on Stars this month.
Really?
It's out theatrically back in March, and I cast every single person in that movie because that luckily shot in LA.
Well, who's the star in that one?
It's a ensemble piece. So it's Dion Cole, the comedian, Nicole Ari Parker, who's now on HBO's and Just Like That, Kimberly Elise, who was from a bunch of Nick Cassavetes
Well,
movies.
that's not a bad cast. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty
It's
exciting.
great. It's a really sweet film. If anyone's looking for a fun family kind of film to watch, I would highly suggest it. Streaming on Stars right now, or I think starting on Friday.
Yeah. We'll definitely watch that because we're always looking for, especially now. We talked a little bit offline about the strikes going on. Everybody's starting to run out of stuff a little bit.
Yep.
I told you we were watching Cheers and Frasier over because we run out of stuff.
Yeah,
Those
until this
hit the
set.
highlight when you're out of stuff. You might as well, if you're going to watch something again, you might as well pick stuff you like.
And stuff that's classic.
Yeah. I've over the last 6 months, I think I've been through every decent sitcom that was ever made. Are you still doing like voice acting?
Oh, I don't usually go over to the acting side. I think what you're talking about specifically is Jennifer Nash's project.
Well, yeah, I know you did last Saturday night with
Yes.
us and were terrific. But I saw you did some additional voice work on Aviators, maybe.
Oh, no, I cast the additional voices.
Oh, you cast it. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think we're talking about a friend of ours who's been on your podcast once or twice. Jennifer Nash made a podcast over the pandemic, and
Really
I,
good.
yeah, I ended up playing myself because I'm a friend of hers. And she tried, I guess, casting the role, and she's like, no one is you. You should do yourself. So I
Yeah, and you were really
finally got my childhood dream of being an actress. And that was enough.
well. I got my one scene with Ed Asner in that.
Amazing.
Pretty amazing. It was nerve wracking, and I was, in my opinion, kind of terrible, but he was awesome.
Yeah, I think Charlene Tilton was opposite me and she was wonderful. It's hard to listen to yourself too. I think that's maybe the difference of being, a professional actor where, that stuff rolls off their back as opposed to.
Right. What
So,
I found was difficult was, because Jennifer was on there trying to direct me by Zoom, and every take that I took sounded just the same. I couldn't get it. I'd try to change it up a little bit, and I'm like, that sounds just the same. And that, to me, it kind of shows just how difficult acting is, because you can give a little direction to an actual actor and they can just nuance it or change it up just a little bit, and it's a completely different take.
Well, it's something that they, no one just comes out to LA and is an actor. I mean, that's something they go to classes, they learn. That's not an easy thing. Even professional actors are still going to classes because they want to, it's like a musical instrument. They just want to keep it up. You got to keep practicing.
Is there like workshops or seminars and stuff that you can go to as a casting director to improve skills, or is it just experience that gets you there?
I think it's just experience. It goes back to that story I told earlier where I thought everyone was great on Freddy versus Jason, and they're like, no. Because I was looking for something else. I was used to theater, and I thought everyone that had big performances were great and funny and wonderful, and they were, but they weren't necessarily right for a horror film, an iconic horror film of two huge monsters. Yeah. So
you were new. You're still learning.
Yeah. You learn from experience, I think, like anything else. So maybe I'll become a better voice actor if I kept pursuing it. And you will be an excellent dead body if you keep pursuing it.
I have this dream of having just multiple listings on IMDb that just say body.
We're going to have to make that dream come true as soon as the SAG strike is over.
There he is, body number 1. Childhood friend, body number 1.
I love that, with just childhood friend t-shirt, dead.
And I've got the t-shirt. Of course, I had to go get one made.
Perfect. There's less for costumes to do.
That's it. You don't even have to see. That's it. I'm ready. Just
you
tell me
are.
where to be and where to, pretend like I'm dead. Done deal. You worked on, and this one kind of cracked me up. You worked on a Donald Trump project.
I did, way before he even had an inkling.
Well, he was just an entertainer at that point.
Yeah, well, I worked on an MOW as a casting assistant or associate, I don't remember, on a Trump project that was basically the behind the scenes of his, one of his marriage breakups.
Yeah. That one cracked me up a little bit. Did you get cast for that?
Yeah, we shot in Canada. We cast here. We saw so many people. I remember, I think it's the same project. I almost feel like we saw Nathan Fillion at some point. Like like we saw everybody for that.
I would pay money to see Nathan Fillion playing Donald Trump.
Yeah. I wasn't the casting director, so I don't still have those tapes, but I'm pretty sure he was one of them.
Who ended up playing Donald?
It was Justin. I'm so sorry. I don't remember. It was such a long time ago. I am a terrible casting assistant.
You better get that notebook out.
Yeah. You know what? That's what IMDb is for. It was, who was it? Oh, no. You know what? It was Justin Lewis, but he changed his name.
Oh.
His professional acting name, which is why I could not remember.
Did he change it because he played Trump?
Probably. Who knows, right?
I better be careful there.
It was not a political movie whatsoever.
No, this was a long time ago.
That is not what I thought you were going to ask about. I thought you were going to ask about the horror film I cast, one of the first films I cast on my own. It was called One-Eyed Monster, and it was a horror film about a porn star's. It was a real film. It was on Showtime, one of the places that they played it. It was a comedy about people making a film crew making a pornographic movie, but the film itself is not pornographic. It's just a horror comedy, and they're up in a mountain, and then a alien comes and a disembodied penis of a porn star goes on a killing spree. It was hilarious.
I'll say classic.
Yeah, that is one that
chestnut.
That is one that I told my mom to skip, but I thought it was hilarious.
There was a run and this, I'm guessing it's probably late 90s, early 2000s, that those type of movies were everywhere. I don't know
They're
why, but there was like that period there where you could see those type of movies all over the place. It used to crack me up.
they're fun. They're fun to read. They're fun to make. They're fun to audition people for. I mean, they're silly and they bring people joy, me included. I love
Yeah,
silly
there's
movies.
nothing wrong with silly. It's like, a movie or a show can actually be kind of terrible, but it's so terrible it's good.
Like Deep Blue Sea. That's my
Yeah,
favorite bad good movie. I love it.
those type of movies. And I watched one called Meg, which was just about a big shark.
Yeah,
They're
Jason
not
Statham.
really good movies, but they entertain me.
Oh yeah. Well, that's I what I do, it's a business, casting. It's a business, but I there's some jobs that you do for money and some that you do for love. I try to work on a lot of films that actually say something about the world.
Yeah,
Which is why, like I said, I have to read a script before I sign on to something, because
like that.
if I don't get it and I'm not passionate about it, I don't want to spend 6 months of my life, no matter what the price, to do it. Uh, so I try to do some films with deep, meaningful thoughts, and I try to do some films that are just fun.
I think it's a good balance.
Yeah. I mean, because I like both types of films too. I love those Oscar winning, worthy scripts, and I love just silliness to bring people joy.
Yeah, you got to work a little bit on Brotherhood, which I think was a Showtime show.
Yes, I
Yeah, that's a
was
good show. That kind of launched. I can't think of the lead actor's name at the moment, but it kind of launched his career.
Jason Isaacs, I think
Yeah,
it was.
Jason Isaacs. It's so
Jason
good.
Clark. Yeah.
Yeah, both. Yeah, yeah, really, really good. But I always enjoyed that show. It was really well done.
Yeah, like I said, I've gotten lucky and been able to work on a lot of stuff that's very meaningful and has deeper themes, which
Yeah.
I think is important, because sometimes you're in the mood for a Bigfoot movie or a zombie movie, and sometimes you're in the mood to really maybe learn something.
I always judge it by, is this something I want to watch while I'm playing on my phone, or is it something that I want to watch and pay attention to?
Yeah, that's the difference
Yeah.
exactly.
Because some things I'm invested. I want to see every second of it. Some things I'm like, yeah, it's not bad, but I can multitask a little bit.
Yeah. I get exactly what you're saying.
Have you? I know you have, but you've also done some producing as well.
Yeah, I come onto a lot of projects early on before there's any financing necessarily involved. So I used to produce out of necessity, because there just wasn't anything going on. But now I only produce things that I really truly believe in, because that is also a job that takes years and years and years of work.
Well,
Movies,
yeah,
it's very rare for somebody to write a script and then they're made. It usually takes years of pitching, of putting money together, of putting actors together,
is that
etc.
part of what you do as a producer? Do you have to help with the pitch?
Yeah, I mean, depending, yeah. I mean, the producer is kind of the
Like the
president of the
catch-all, right?
movie, yeah. Or the producer's the CEO of the movie.
Yeah.
The director is kind of the president. Like, you have to do what he says, but
Well, I know that sometimes they'll give like executive producer titles and stuff, and they're basically just financiers. But
sometimes, yeah, they're
then
fine.
other times it's like the producer they do everything.
Yeah. I mean, a movie starts from a script, but then it goes all the way into distribution, which is a whole other skill. You have to find someone to put out the movie. Is it going to go to theaters? Is it going to go to streaming? Is it going to go to DVD? Is it, because those markets are still open and available.
Yeah, is
So,
that not? I guess I didn't think of that, but I guess that is something a producer would help with, because
yeah.
that's probably, to me, that's the hardest part, would be the marketing, not the making of the movie. It's the marketing.
Oh, the marketing's usually easier because
Really?
they find a whole other budget for that.
Okay, okay. So that makes sense to me. So that
Yeah.
you
Marketing
fight to
can
get your budget to make the movie, and then you get a new budget for the marketing part. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, marketing. I mean, marketing. I should have gone into marketing because they're the ones that make the most money. They get their own budgets. Usually the movie is less of a budget than the marketing budget.
I know it's kind of crazy the way things work. It's
It
a
is.
little backward. I know.
I agree. I agree.
Although I've
But
always believed if it's good, whatever it is, if it's good, people will find it. It may take them a while, but they'll find it eventually. That's why
that's
you
true.
get cult classics all the time. They go in theaters, they do nothing, and then a year or two goes by, they end up on a streamer or something, and suddenly it's a big deal. Which,
Agree.
that's kind of our we've talked about Ryan Lambert and some of those guys from Monster Squad. I mean, that movie didn't do anything when it came out, and then years later, it became this big phenomenon.
I know it's a
Now,
cult.
him and some of that cast are out there touring the country, watching that movie over and over. I think that's awesome.
It's definitely fun. It sounds like fun, at least from what I've
Well,
heard.
yeah, it's same. I mean, it's fun in the audience. It would be, something else if you were up on stage talking about it, I think.
True, but I still think you work on things and you're proud of them. I would love if that happened to one of my projects. I'd be happy to go tour around the country with something.
Yeah. I would have no trouble having a project that I never had any FaceTime at all on, but I was working behind the scenes. I'd still be celebrating the heck out of that when it did well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just when films and television do well and get high ratings, et cetera, it makes it easier for those people that worked on it to make the next film. So
have you ever worked on a project that at some point you're like, yeah, this is terrible? You don't have to tell me what it is. I'm just curious if you had that.
Do you not remember when I said I either work with people once or 5 or 6 times?
Yes.
But I mean, honestly, you can tell if something's going to be terrible from the script, which is why you always have to read the script before you sign on to anything.
Yeah, I never thought of that because I would probably be like, heck yeah, I'll cast. But you need to know what you're getting into.
You absolutely do, because movies with great scripts can turn out terrible. You never know. But movies with terrible scripts are always going to be terrible.
Yes, that's true. And there's movies that the idea is good, but the execution fails. And then you've got movies that the idea is just terrible and the whole thing's kind of.
Well, I think that has a lot to do with too many people, like
too many cooks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There needs to be a leader.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. You got to have somebody that can make some actual decisions in there so you don't go down a bunch of rabbit holes and then you end up losing whatever the concept was. It gets kind of thrown out of whack, which happens a lot. I think you see movies and you're like, what was the thought process there? Because the flow is way off. And it's because they're trying to cram in a bunch of suggestions that people that really shouldn't be suggesting have made.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes, financing for films and TV come together in really strange ways. Yeah. Sometimes, you're like, who is this actor? It's the boyfriend or girlfriend of someone who put the money together or something like that. You never know. And the goal is to get the project made. So that is the ultimate goal, period. So sometimes you have to do whatever is necessary.
But if you don't get it made, you can't do anything else with it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So if you weren't a casting director, what would you be doing? Would you be writing still?
I would just be writing and directing. And one day that is the goal, to just write and direct.
I think you're going to get something big to direct.
I'm working on it. So
it may have a cameo from Childhood Friend in it.
Oh my gosh. We're going to make sure we kill you in that movie for sure. Not life. You can stay alive, but
that's all I ask. I'm a simple man. I've always enjoyed
man with 800 podcasts.
That's right. I've always enjoyed like uncovering someone that I think is really good, but they haven't really hit anything big. And I'll have them on the show. And then a year or two later, they get a big role. And I'm like, I knew it. Because sometimes you can just tell somebody's really talented. They just haven't quite arrived yet. And that's been fun for me on the podcast.
Oh, that's fun for me during casting.
Yeah.
You can see that star quality.
You can. And sometimes it just the collective consciousness just hadn't caught on yet. But when somebody's talented, you can tell.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course, there's
job.
millions of talented actors that are still struggling.
The struggle is real, and the struggle continues. And unfortunately, the only person that can push you forward when it comes down to it is you.
That's right. It's just how much you can stand.
Yeah.
You gotta keep, it's a grind. You got to keep plugging away till something clicks.
And if there's no opportunities for you, you make them yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew I was going to love talking with you, because casting something, I think is it's not something you talk about a lot, but it's so important because you couldn't do anything without it.
Yeah, it's very behind the scenes, but that's why it's such a wonderful job. Like I said, everyone's nice to you. You live in this magical world of wonderful people, and you get to help people along with their careers and watch them explode.
Yeah, that's exciting. Because I know Jennifer Nash has done a little casting too. Did she come to you for some advice when she started that?
She did not. She did some background casting, which is a lot different. I just had to do that.
Background casting just kind of the initial work?
No, it's for the background actors.
Oh, the background actors. Yeah, okay. I know exactly. That'd be like the zombies on Walking Dead.
Exactly. I just cast a SAG short film because that's all that's happening right now because of the strike. That's all that's allowed. And I had to find a zombie too. And we're in LA, not in Atlanta. So the director was like, why can't we have a Walking Dead zombie? I need someone that's
as many as you want if you want to go to Atlanta.
I know. I was like, I don't have the budget to bring someone.
I did an interview with a panel from The Walking Dead, and that's all it was just a bunch of the background zombie actors, and it was awesome. It was the best time because they love it. They actually, there's some actors, that's all they want to do. They're not really interested in doing anything but the background stuff. They love it.
It's not easy either.
No.
Especially on those monster movies and shows where there's a lot of hours in makeup for that. You have to put in really uncomfortable contacts and things.
Yeah. That's dedication.
I mean, oh my gosh, I talk so much. I'm losing my voice now.
Well, then it's good. We're closing to the end. So just a couple of things before we wrap up. Anything, we talked a little bit about the movie you're working on. Anything else that you're working on that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
Yes, I am working on a very small film called Kennel that we're hopefully going to be shooting at the beginning of next year. And then I have my everyone has their one
directing on that one?
Yes, writing and directing with my partner Nick Brandt, Nicholas David Brandt. And he and I made a film before, a very small film, the one with Linda Hamilton and Ted McGinley.
I mean, if you're gonna make a small film, that's not terrible people to work
with. And this one's kind of the same kind of horror thriller, one location kind of thing, but we're also
like something you submit to the film festivals.
Yes, it will be for film festivals. It will be under a very low budget SAG contract, but it will definitely be for film festivals and things like that. And then we're working on a much bigger project, which is kind of a homage to 80s movies about the 50s. So kind of like Back to the Future, things like that. We want to make an alien invasion movie about that too. So I will once that gets rolling, I will definitely call you up. We will talk because you will love it.
Yeah, that's right up my alley.
Yeah. But that one will probably be after the smaller one.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, you have me at aliens.
Yeah. I love
zombies.
aliens. I love aliens. I love sci-fi. Sci-fi is my favorite genre,
Me too.
and I can't wait to
Fantasy
develop it.
for me. But yeah, I always grew up. My grandfather was always reading those alien conspiracy books and stuff. So I kind of grew up on that, and here I am, still loving
Yeah.
it.
My dad was a real big sci-fi guy and used to take me to the comic book shops, and
Oh yeah, I used to run.
here I grew up like this.
Those were the good old days before we had to worry about anything other than just enjoying whatever we're doing.
Right?
Adulthood comes and then it gets complicated.
It does. Bills, things like that. Human rights. We have a lot of big problems in the world.
Big problem. Well, Lisa, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. This was too long coming. When you come back, we got to do it much sooner.
We absolutely will. I'm going to work hard to get one of my projects up and running so that we can talk in a couple
months. We'll talk all about it. That'd be awesome. Yeah, once you get that running and start doing filming stuff, even if I'm not in it, I'd love to come out and visit.
That would be amazing. Yeah, we're just waiting, like the rest of the entertainment industry, for the strikes to resolve. Thank goodness the writers got a fair deal, and now we're waiting on the actors. So the industry is kind of on hold till then.
Yeah, hopefully that's not much longer.
Fingers crossed.
A break on occasion might be okay, but that's more like a week. Let's not go into months.
Yeah, it's hard because it's not only the actors and writers are officially on strike, but everybody struggling here. Yeah, there's
just people that work on set are getting affected.
Agents, managers, everyone.
Yeah. So it's been kind of interesting. We've gotten to the point now, most of my guests are being sent to me. I'm not, I still try to get some that I like to talk to, but most of them are being sent to me. But over this last few months, it's, you've had these agencies changing who they're sending to me because they're not allowed to send most of their roster.
Yeah.
That's been kind of interesting. Everybody's out there just trying to hang in there until all this nonsense ends, which the money's there. Yeah, let's just take care of our people. You can't do anything if you don't have actors and writers.
And we all love content. We all love watching wonderful TV shows and films, etc.
Yeah.
We need them.
Couch potatoes. Okay, so last thing, Lisa, before we wrap up, where can we find you and your work on social media?
I am at Lisa Hamil, LisaHamil, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X
now,
Blue Sky. I'm on everything.
TikTok. Have you got on TikTok yet?
Yes, I have not made too many things. I was just testing it out, but I am addicted.
Tricky. There's some talented people on there.
Oh my gosh, yes. Especially some of these people that do animation. Yeah. Amazing stuff.
Crazy stuff. That's why I said there's so many talented people out there. The majority of them never make it. It's such a difficult industry. It always amazes me when somebody wants to go into it and they're talented. It's entertainment. That's a hard industry.
Yeah, the hardest thing is deciding not to give up. That's it. It takes a while. Sadly, there's no instant success. So you got to keep hacking away every day.
Right. That's right. And then even once you make it, you can't just stop.
Nope. Because then
you're right back out of it.
Exactly.
All right. Hold on one second. But thank you so much. This has been great. I've been wanting to talk with you like this now for at least a year or two.
It was so nice for us to finally sit down and do this. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Oh, you're so welcome.
It's a nice time.
All right. Hold on one second. All right. So that was our good friend, casting director, producer, Lisa Hamil. I've been wanting to sit down on a podcast level with her for a couple of years now, because I think what she does is so interesting and such a vital piece of making film, making TV shows, you have to have a good casting director to get anything done, to get anything jump started. And Lisa's terrific. She is so good at what she does, and just such a nice, likable person. I love talking with her. We met her through our other good friend Jennifer Nash, and she immediately, like we connected, my wife Emily and I, with her immediately. Absolutely loved her right off, and have enjoyed every visit that we've had with her. Just a really talented woman. So please keep an eye out for Kennel and some of her projects that she is working on. I think that her next step, I think, is going to be making a name for herself as a writer and a director. I think she's really talented. That time is coming. I am here for it. I'm excited about it. And not just because I'm going to, play a dead body or a childhood friend in whatever she makes. And you guys were here. You're my witness that she has agreed to do that. Although in exchange, I have agreed to work very cheaply. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again this week. Really appreciate that. We don't take you for granted. So grateful. If you're new to us, thank you for being here. If you prefer to watch, we'd love to have your support. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. We just ask that you hit subscribe. It's free. Really does help us out. If you're a listener, just wherever you listen to your podcast at, subscribe there. That'll help us as well. You can find today, we put out episode 665. You can find all of those audio and video on our website, meistercon.com. So whatever we have going on, you can find out there, meistercon.com. And the last thing that I'll mention is IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, recently named us one of its top 100 podcasts. That's a pretty big deal. There's 15 million podcasts out there. So it's something that we're very excited and proud of. If you'd like to support us that way, just go to imdb.com, look up Too Opinionated Podcast. It's free. And just take a look at the page. You can scroll through the guests we've had on our 665 episodes. You can kind of look around the page, but just bringing the page up actually helps us. So please do that. imdb.com, Too Opinionated Podcast. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody. Hi, everybody. I'm once again here to ask for your support. It's been a big year for the Too Opinionated Podcast. Back in February, we got to live out a dream, moderate for William Shatner here in our hometown. In May, we passed 100,000 downloads on our YouTube channel, and we followed that up in June with 50,000 downloads on the audio side. We recently posted our 600th episode, which is pretty good volume for just a father and son operation. Not too many podcasts can keep that volume up. We've been doing this now for 4.5 years, 600 plus episodes. We recently hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, which is a really big deal for us because we've always gotten the views, but have struggled to get people to subscribe. So that 1,000 was a big deal for us. And best of all, we were recently named one of the top podcasts on IMDb, which is the entertainment database. Those that are ahead of us, we came in at number 82. Those that are ahead of us are bigger companies like Disney, mostly Marvel, and Joe Rogan, that type of podcast. So for us, being just a small West Virginia father and son podcast, to be in the top 100 out of 15 million, it's a pretty big deal for us. So thank you for everything you've done for us so far. Got a couple little ways, though, that you can help us, and they're free, and they're really easy. If you haven't checked out our YouTube channel yet, please go to YouTube. It's under MeisterCon Pod. Just hit subscribe. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Really helps us a ton. And maybe even more important, if you could go to imdb.com, look up the Too Opinionated Podcast, and just look around the page. Just having that traffic on the page really helps us out. So that's a couple easy ways that you can support us, even if you're not listening or watching all of the time. And we want you to listen and watch, because I think that our guest list, I would put up against anybody, any other show, podcast, anybody out there. I think our guest list holds up. So please check us out. You probably will find somebody that you like, or maybe somebody that you didn't know you liked, but kind of discovered them on there. There's tons of that. If you're into music, we have that too. If you like books, we've got authors on there. If you're more into what goes on behind the scenes in the entertainment world, we've got producers, directors, video artists, anything you can think of that happens behind the scenes, we've had them on the show. So definitely check us out. Thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye, everybody.